For quite some time now, ESO players have been asking for more difficult Overland content and more earnable rewards. Bastion Nymic, the new world event that comes with the Necrom chapter, checks both of these boxes. This video is sponsored by Bethesda, and they've tasked me with venturing into this new content that is unlike anything that we've come to expect from Overland content in this game. The Elder Scrolls Online's newest expansion, Necrom, is now available on PC, and it'll be coming to Xbox and PlayStation on June 20th. I've already been having a great time checking out all of the new content that comes with this chapter. I've particularly enjoyed defeating the new world bosses found in the Telvanni Peninsula and Hermaeus Mora's realm of Apocrypha. I've also enjoyed farming waves of ads in the new public dungeons for collectible fragments and looting all sorts of urns and containers as I explore these beautiful and eerie locations for the new expensive furnishing plans. But Necrom has so much more to offer for all kinds of players. Whether you're brand new to the game or you just haven't played ESO in a hot minute, there are plenty of reasons to jump back into the game and experience what Necrom has to offer. This chapter also introduces a new playable class called the Arcanist. Arcanists can harness the power of Apocrypha to conjure up powerful runes and tomes of ancient knowledge to protect themselves, heal allies, and defeat enemies. There are also plenty of new quests to experience, a brand new trial called Sanity's Edge, 2 new companions that can aid you on your adventures, and of course, the brand new world event, Bastion Nymic. I was very eager to check out this new world event, seeing as I'm someone that enjoys Overland content that challenges me, rewards me, and can be completed with friends. Without further ado, join me as I take you through this new content so that we can see what new challenges and rewards await us. Bastion Nymic is an instanced event that's meant to be completed in groups of up to 4 players. This world event contains a vast array of challenges, secrets, and rewards. If you enjoy group content in this game, this will be right up your alley. But don't fret, just because this content is more challenging, that doesn't mean that it is inaccessible to those that prefer to experience the game as a solo player. A solid grasp of the mechanics or a helping hand from one of the new companions can make a substantial difference when tackling this new content. I'll leave some resources in the description to help those of you that prefer to play ESO solo but still wish to partake in this content. In this video, I'll be guiding you through the Bastion Nymic world event. We'll take a look at how to access one, how to defeat the bosses, how to uncover all of the secret encounters, and of course, what kind of rewards we can expect upon conquering some of the most challenging Overland content that ESO has to offer. In order to access Bastion Nymic, you must first seek out Ordinator Tandisi in Necrom City. She'll provide you with a daily quest that's necessary to gain access to this new world event. The first order of business requires you to collect a total of 5 Daedric Ichor. This item will drop from these roaming enemies called Herald Seekers. These Seekers can be quite tough to defeat by yourself, so it may be wise to ask for assistance in zone chat or ask one of your friends or guildies for help should you require it. The main mechanics to be aware of are as follows. These abyssal tendrils that spawn at your feet on occasion can knock you back should you remain in the growing AoE. The Seeker has a pattern of attacks that consists of 3 projectile light attacks, followed by a 4th, more damage-intensive attack. You may wish to consider blocking or dodge rolling this blast. Occasionally, it will cast a channeled attack that will CC your character and slowly pull them in. Be sure to break free if you're the one affected by this skill, or bash the Seeker to interrupt this skill if you see an ally get targeted by it. These Seekers also have 2 add phases. Given the number of enemies that spawn from these encounters, I would recommend using some area of effect damage skills to cleave everything down efficiently. Upon defeating and looting a Herald Seeker, you'll receive 1 Daedric Ichor. The Daedric Ichor that your groupmates loot will count towards the 5 that you need in order to access the event. Upon collecting a total of 5 Daedric Ichor, you will then be able to pass through one of these chthonic landing gates and into the instanced group event. Be mindful of the fact that only a group of up to 4 players can access this location. Bastion Nymic is a large instance with 3 distinctly different districts and a final encounter. Much like the other world events in ESO, defeating a Bastion Nymic is not meant to be a one-time endeavor. Repeated excursions to the Bastion Nymic will provide you with additional challenges and rewards. In order to complete the Bastion Nymic quest, all you have to do is complete the district that corresponds with your quest, which then unlocks the final encounter, and then defeat said final encounter. Each district consists of hordes of mobs to defeat and a final boss fight. Each district also has an optional secret encounter that can reward you with more goodies should you succeed in completing it. The mechanics for each boss fight and the secrets for all of the districts will be showcased in this video. Vhogor's attacks are slow and melee based, and this fella walks around the way I do as I sluggishly meander my way over to the fridge to eat a second bag of shredded cheese at 3 AM, so if you're a ranged DPS, you can definitely easily evade a lot of its attacks by keeping your distance and minding the poisonous AoEs that get splattered throughout the arena. If you're a melee DPS, be mindful of these growing AoEs, and be sure to consult your preferred defensive strategy, whether that's keeping heal over time skills active, or casting a burst heal every once in a while, or utilizing damage shields to help you recover from Vhogor's attacks. This big chungus has two different mechanics that can occur after it slams its arm on the ground twice. One that will spawn some plague voroplasms, and another that will make Vhogor enraged for a brief moment. Vhogor will occasionally burrow one of its hands into the ground and spawn a bunch of poison AoEs. The boss can also slam its other hand into the ground to deal a mighty blow that scatters damaging rock fragments around the immediate area. It can also swipe its hand across and knock you back if you aren't blocking. During ad phases, Vhogor will stand still, become immune, and channel its familiar poison AoE attack until all of the ads are defeated. The Eater of Secrets, my goodness, what a name, has two Watcher besties that will help it throughout the battle. One, named Enigma, has an AoE charge attack, the other, named Conundrum, will shoot laser beams at you. Both Watchers will also occasionally use a quick AoE spin attack that may damage you if you're fighting them at melee range. I found that there's a lot of downtime between each attack, making this encounter fairly manageable, despite there being 3 major enemies in the ring. It may serve you well to focus on one Watcher at a time before dealing with the Eater of Secrets to eliminate the excess incoming damage. If you wish to pursue this strategy, I would advise that you focus Conundrum first, as this Watcher is relatively stationary and likewise susceptible to taking a lot of damage from your stationary AoEs. Whereas Enigma likes to run all over the place like the average Cyrodiil 1vxer. Like all of the final boss fights in each of the districts, a volley of ads will be spawned on occasion that you'll want to take a moment to cleave down. The Seeker ads are the most threatening ones, seeing as they dish out a lot of ranged damage, so you can't merely walk out of their range the way you can with many other ads. Prioritize killing these ads during the ad phases. The Eater of Secrets has a noteworthy attack where he jumps up in the air, punches the ground twice, and then aggressively stomps once, exactly the way I used to when my mom used to tell me that it was my brother's turn to use the Xbox. If you remain in the AoE on that final stomp, you'll be knocked back and stunned. This boss also has a heavy attack that can be blocked, a skill where he barfs all over you and spawns subsequent stationary AoEs, and this skill where he sneezes this black goo in your general direction. How rude. This encounter is arguably the trickiest of the 3 district bosses. Strix will immediately call upon the aid of 2 Mind Terrors at the start of the fight. Also, who created these ads? I'd like to have a word with them. Fortunately, these ads don't have much health, so you can quickly cleave them down to avoid having to tank extra damage throughout the fight. They will, unfortunately, respawn later as the fight progresses. Strix has a move where they slowly sweep their hand across from one side to the other and send out a wave of harmful projectiles, so mind your step. If you get hit by one of these, a stationary AoE will spawn at the location where you got hit. Because of this, you really don't want to be directly in front of the boss when this skill is cast. My homie Drakkar got instantly nuked on a couple of times as a result of getting hit with 2 or 3 of these AoEs at once. Melee DPS problems, am I right, fellas? Strix will also occasionally use a skill akin to the Nightblade's teleport strike on you. They also have a heavy attack that they cast with their staff that you'll want to block so that you don't get staggered, and an interruptible attack that will throw out a lot of additional AoEs that can stun you should you fail to interrupt the boss. They also have a skill that teleports them around the arena twice, leaving behind a shadow ad that procures a growing AoE that can damage and stun you. Strix also disappears altogether to send in a wave of ads for you to cleave down. Be sure to block the teleport strike when the boss reappears. Strix's most noteworthy mechanic is when it creates another version of itself with the exact same skills. Be mindful of the fact that only one of these bosses is the real Kynmarcher Strix. You'll be able to spot the correct one by taking note of the grand health bar at the top of your screen. When the real Strix is damaged, this health bar is affected. If the Strix clones are attacked, this health bar remains untouched, and only the clone's individual health bars are affected. As you adventure throughout the plagued district, you may start to notice these strange glowing elixirs scattered around the area. You may have also stumbled upon some instructions that suggest that some offerings for Peryite are brewed and ready, that 3 of these offerings should be presented to his pestilence, and that Peryite, quote-unquote, abhors heterogeny. Those of you that are big-brained may have been able to decipher the following. In order to provide an adequate offering to Peryite, and by offering I mean you literally throw up on the fella, you must consume 3 chalices that are all of the same color. Don't take a mixture of the 2 different colors. After you or another group member has collected 3 offerings that are all of the same color, return to the Peryite altar room and interact with this statue Upon doing so, these bookshelves will part themselves and reveal a secret entrance. Follow this secret passageway to a final encounter full of adds. These enemies do not pose a serious threat, but there are a lot of them, so be sure to watch where you step to avoid AoE damage, and use your own AoE intensive skills to cleave the adds with ease. Defeating these waves of adds will reward you with a chest and the Pestilence Puzzler achievement. There's a special location in the Dreaming Quarter that consists of 4 glowing orbs and a locked door that leads to a treasure vault room. Each of these orbs corresponds with a dark potent somewhere in the Dreaming Quarter. You'll have to destroy these dark potents in order to gain access to the treasure vault. How do you go about doing this? Allow me to show you. As you make your way through the Dreaming Quarter, you may notice these strange purple flames floating in the distance. If you get close to one, it will spawn a nightmare, a shadow version of the Hunger ad. Defeat this ad and synergize with the fissure that it leaves behind. This will turn your character translucent and allow you to find dark potents, glowing orbs nestled into these ominous pillars that are scattered throughout the area. They look exactly like the orbs by the treasure vault door. You can interact with one of these orbs to destroy it. Upon doing so, you will lose the power that the fissure granted you. Thus, you'll have to repeat this process 3 more times to destroy a total of 4 dark potents. Upon doing so, the treasure vault room's door will unlock itself and you'll be able to access the secret encounter. This encounter consists of 3 waves of adds that are found in this district. Upon defeating all of the enemies, you'll be able to loot an additional chest and you'll receive the Nightmares Puzzler achievement. Scattered throughout the Subverted Quarter are a total of 4 strange books. Each of these books contains a tattered page with a peculiar-looking symbol. After defeating wave after wave of enemies as you traverse this eerie realm, you may come across a puzzle. Here you must change the symbols that hover atop these pillars such that they correspond with the symbols found in the strange books. The symbol floating above the first pillar should consist of the same symbol that was found in Book 1. The symbol of the second pillar should consist of the symbol that was found in Book 2. Yeah, you get where I'm going with this. Solving this puzzle will grant you access to a secret location. Interact with this arcane device to commence a test of memory. Upon turning the arcane device, some floor tiles will momentarily light up before disappearing. A bunch of illuminated floor tiles will then reappear, and it'll be up to you and your friends to step on the tiles that had been previously highlighted. You'll have to do this 2 more times in order to complete this puzzle. Doing so will reward you with the Fates Puzzler achievement, and you'll be able to receive some extra goodies by looting this chest. Completing all 3 of the secret encounters in Bastion Nymic will reward you with the Bastion Nymic Master Puzzler achievement. Upon game ending the final boss in the district that corresponds with your daily quest, you'll be prompted to defeat the final encounter of the entire Bastion Nymic event. The herald that you must face also corresponds with the district that you were tasked with completing for your quest. The mechanics for each of the 3 heralds are as follows. Many of this boss's attacks will likely be familiar to you at this point, as they mirror many of the mechanics seen from secret adds in Bastion Nymic and the Overland. This herald will summon whirlwinds of books that will slowly hone in on you. These will knock you back should they reach you. Throughout the fight, the herald will disappear and send a legion of seekers to swarm you. Quickly evade this AoE and ensure that you are positioned in the safe zone so as not to get hit by these seekers as they barrel across the arena. The herald also shoots out waves of small AoEs, and it'll summon adds that hail from the Subverted district. The most significant mechanic in this final fight is the Devour Brain mechanic, the same one that the Herald Seekers cast in the Overland. You can recognize when the Herald is channeling this lethal attack by spotting the glowing yellow beam above its head, or recognizing that it has CC'd you or an ally. As always, be sure to break free or interrupt this attack, as it has been known to one-shot a squishy DPS if it is cast successfully. The Noxious Herald can pull its hand back and then place a small AoE on a player in the fight. Be sure to not stand close to your allies while this AoE is on you to avoid damaging them. The boss will also go immune to summon a bunch of Peryite's blessings that you'll have to cleave down to continue the fight. This herald can also wave its staff around to spawn a wave of poisonous AoEs that scatter across the arena. On occasion, the Noxious Herald will place a red sigil over a player, and the outline of a large growing AoE will spawn at this player's feet. After a few moments, the sigil will disappear, and an actual AoE will slowly start to grow exactly where that player last was. Players affected by this sigil should run to the sides of the room so that when the duration of the sigil mechanic is over, the large growing AoE that ensues does not take up valuable space in the middle of the arena. The Dreadful Herald's attacks are similar to the attacks that the Mind Terrors have. Every once in a while, the boss will send out a bunch of thin black beams that will stun everyone. It will also occasionally disappear and reappear to strike at a player, so be sure to roll dodge out of its AoE. This boss can also charge across the arena and leave behind a trail of AoEs in its wake. Although it may look like you've defeated the boss initially, it will actually take a moment to draw energy from the same curious flames seen throughout the Dreaming Quarter and respawn to fight you again with the aid of some adds. When the Nightmare ad is defeated, it will spawn a fissure synergy that a player must activate to subsequently gain a special power that will allow them to see and defeat one of Vermina's nightmares. Upon doing so, the player will lose the power and the fight will continue. This whole process will have to be repeated in order to kill the Dreadful Herald for good. After defeating the final boss, a portal appears that will take you back to the Chthonic Landing Gate. You may then turn in your daily quest by chatting with Ordinator Tandacy to collect additional daily rewards. There are a handful of rewards that you can receive upon defeating bosses and completing secrets in the Bastion Nymic. There are 5 new book furnishings and 5 new furnishing plans that can be found in Bastion Nymic. The book furnishings are bound once your character picks them up, but the furnishing plans can be sold to other players. I'll showcase some of the furnishings that correspond with these plans here and leave resources for the others in the description. Funerary wrappings are a new style material. They are required to craft some of the new furnishings that debuted with the Necrom chapter. Upon deconstructing gear in the Dead Keeper style, you'll have a small chance at receiving one of these materials. You can find gear of this style in the Telvanni Peninsula and Apocrypha, and of course, in the Bastion Nymic. Overland gear drops from defeating Herald Seekers and bosses in Bastion Nymic. So if you don't plan on using the gear that you accumulate from defeating this world event yourself, be sure to deconstruct it for a chance at these precious materials. You can receive the Shroom Tender Breeches upon attaining the Bane of Heralds achievement, which requires you to defeat all 3 of the Heralds in Bastion Nymic. This cute little obsidian dwarven sphere non-combat pet can be obtained upon completing the Keeper of the Bastion achievement. In order to receive this achievement, you must first complete 3 smaller achievements. Bane of Heralds requires you to kill all 3 Heralds, Nymic Champion requires you to complete 30 Bastion Nymic dailies, and Bastion Nymic Master Puzzler requires you to complete all 3 of the secret encounters. The Antiquity system promotes all of the different modes of gameplay in ESO. Players are rewarded with leads for neat furnishings or mythic gear upon completing all kinds of content in every single zone. Thus, it'll come as no surprise to hear that there are some leads that can be obtained from Bastion Nymic. The lead for the Dark Metal Cubes drops in Bastion Nymic. This antiquity is required to create the new music box called Glyphic Secrets. The Spore Crafter's Grinding Stone lead also drops from Bastion Nymic, and it is one of the 7 pieces needed to craft the Spore Savant face markings. You can also obtain leads for the Net Shield Mushroom Stencil and the Rust Funnel Cap Paint, which are some of the pieces that you need to create the Spore Savant body markings. That concludes our grand excursion to the new Bastion Nymic world event. Whew, that was a long one, eh? What are your impressions of it? Now that you've seen the entirety of it, and maybe even completed it yourself, I'd love to hear what you think about it in the comments. And I would be more than happy to help you gamers should you have any questions about the place. I've run through Bastion Nymic tens of times on the PTS and the live server, so I kinda know the place pretty well by this point. You can check out the Bastion Nymic world event and plenty of other new content in ESO's newest expansion, Necrom, which is now out on PC, and it'll be out on Xbox and PlayStation on the 20th of June. Alright, that's all for today. I'd like to thank Bethesda for sponsoring this video, you all for watching it, and my YouTube members for their additional support. Hope to see you gamers in the Telvanni Peninsula, Apocrypha, or in the next video. Until then, cheers.